efforts through macroeconomic variables such as exchange rates, inflation, and international copper prices. In reference to Chapter 2, page 4, paragraph 10, our observation is that the paper identifies that growth in 2023 is projected to slow down to 2.7% from 4.7% recorded in 2022. This is mainly attributed to the expected reduction in output in the mining and electricity sectors, which are expected to contract by 8.7% and 2% respectively. The overall growth is expected to be mainly driven by the information and communications technology, manufacturing, transport, storage, and financial sectors. Our comment is that for the forecasted reduction in output from the mining and electricity sectors is likely to lower the projected growth and reduce the tax take from the two sectors. As at June 2023, mining corporate income tax and mineral royalty tax were below target by 3.7 billion and 1.1 billion respectively. However, revenue collections will be buoyed by expected growth in other sectors such as information and communications technology, manufacturing, transport and storage, and financial sectors. This information provides variable and timely information to near-term revenue mobilization efforts. The authority will need to enhance its compliance and enforcement initiatives if we are to meet the 2023 revenue targets. Reference Chapter 2, page 6, paragraph 18, observation: government to continue leveraging public-private partnerships to finance infrastructure and other development projects. The authority is of the view that this mode provides a cost-effective and sustainable means of financing infrastructure and other developmental projects. Reference to page 2, Chapter 2, page 5 and 6, paragraphs 15 and 19. Duplicating, our observation is that the numbering of table 1 in paragraphs 15 and 19 is duplicated, so appropriate adjustment is proposed there. Macroeconomic framework 2024-2026, continued. Reference paragraph 2, Chapter 2, paragraph 15, 19, 29, and 32. Copper production is expected to increase to about 800,000 metric tons in 2024 from about 680,000 metric tons in 2023. The projected additional production of about 115,000 metric tons in 2024 compared to 2023 is significant. The authority reiterates the importance of government's effort in ramping up production in the mining sector, especially regarding the establishment of the Mining Regulatory Commission to enhance regulation of the sector, promote investments, and ensure that the nation accrues the requisite benefits from its mineral endowments. A continued stable policy regime to attract investment and timely resolution of operational challenges at Mopani and Konkora copper mines. Increased investment by the private sector will increase production levels through, for example, the Kasanshi S3 expansion project by First Quantum Minerals and at Mimbura copper mines, among others. The economic transformation and job creation objectives, reference Chapter 2, page 6 to 11. Our observation is that government seeks to transform the economy from one which is predominantly primary production of copper to an industrialized and diversified economy through value addition. Our comment in that respect: improved production and productivity in several key sectors will lead to improved livelihoods. It will also enhance the tax contribution from sectors such as agriculture, whose contribution to gross revenues in 2022 stood at 1.4%, despite accounting for 7.2% of real GDP in the year. Good governance environment objectives, reference chapter 2, page 15. Our observation is that government's focus will be on improving the policy and government environment, as well as promoting adherence to the rule of law and constitutionalism over the medium term. Our comment: the authority endorses government's resolve to implement measures aimed at improving the policy and governance environment, as well as promoting adherence to the rule of law and constitutionalism. Notable among these are the measures on debt management and the intention to continue leveraging on public-private partnerships as alternative financing source to promote investment in various sectors. These measures will help government to attain the macroeconomic and fiscal objectives. Review of fiscal performance 2020-2022, chapter 3, page 21, paragraph 82. Our observation is that tax revenues are stated to have accounted for 16.9% of total revenues. Non-tax revenues contributed 4.8%, while grants made up 0.5% in the period under review. The reported ratio to tax revenues as proportion of total revenues may need to be reviewed. The appropriate reference may have been intended to be the ratio to GDP and total revenues. Our view also is based on the paragraph's reference to GDP as a benchmark and not total revenues. Review of fiscal performance continued. Reference chapter 3, page 22, paragraph 83, table 3.1. Our observation is that the indicated nominal GDP figures do not seem to be updated with the latest publication of GDP statistics by Zambia Statistics Agency, ZamStats. For example, the final GDP estimate for 2020 as published by ZamStats is 332,223 million and not 326,937 million. The final GDP estimate for 2021 as published by ZamStats is 443,262 million and not 407,660 million. The previous updated GDP estimate for 2022 as published by ZamStats is 504,477 million and not 466,179 million. So in that respect, our comment is that reported GDP figures may need to be reviewed and updated, as well as any accompanying statistics that are based on the cited GDP figures. Revenue Mobilization Strategy 2024 to 2026, reference chapter 4, page 21, paragraph 99. Our observation is that identified measures are supported. However, additional measures could be included. Additional interventions proposed for inclusion are mandate all sale of precious metals produced by artisanal miners to be sold locally to an aggregator appointed by government. Upgrade infrastructure and enhance operational efficiencies at Sakanya, Mokambo and Kipushi in order to decongest Kasumbalesa border and enhance trade facilitation. Number 3, implement the integrated identity registration information system (INRIS), which will also form a strong foundation for identification and registration of taxpayers. And number 4, commence operations of the regulator for the mining sector in order to enhance accountability and overall revenue collection from mineral resources. In conclusion, the Green Paper on 2024 to 2026 medium-term budget plan and the 2024 budget presents a detailed overview of government's medium-term policy direction as it strives to restore and maintain macroeconomic stability and fiscal sustainability. The authority recommends government's medium-term focus of stimulating the domestic economy through promoting private sector investment in increasing production and productivity and facilitation of efficiency in the delivery of public services to promote job creation and improved livelihoods. The authority also supports the outlined revenue mobilization and financing strategies and the expenditure policy and strategy which will support the attainment of government's medium-term objectives. It is my sincere hope that the authority's comments will aid the finalization of the 2024-2026 MTB and the 2024 annual budget. Overall, we support the policy direction and strategies that are presented in the paper. We submit, Chair.
Okay, Mrs. Gandes, thank you very much for the submission. Honorable members, it's time for questions. Let me see hands. Those who would want to. Honorable Mungandu, another, Honorable Mijelo. Okay, Honorable Mungandu.
Thank you. ZRA, performance of the budget is based on the revenue that the country generates, particularly domestic revenue. If you look at the projections that were made by the executive, that in the next 10 years, and we're remaining with 8 years, we should be able to increase production output in the mines from below 1 million tons to 3 million. We have sadly learned that production levels have instead, in spite incentives being given to the mining sector, production levels are still going down instead of increasing, and that has an impact on the budget performance. I want to find out from you what could be the reasons, or what is it that this committee can recommend to the executive so that much is realized from the mining sector, both big multinational mining companies as well as artisanal mining. What is it that you would submit as a collection point, or an institution that is mandated through the Ministry of Finance to correct revenue for the treasury of this country? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mijelo.
Chairman, thank you very much. Acting Commissioner General ZRA, we thank you very much for your presentation. My concern, Commissioner General and ZRA, is on the issue of leakage of money, and you are the people mandated to collect revenue for the people of Zambia, or for the Republic of this country. And the money being collected, I think I'm very much, when this is also what you know, that it is a lot of money. But we wonder why, and this is what we are seeing now in the society, in the community where we come from, that there are times when other people, especially the people who are mining on the copper belt, the miners where they are evading taxes, and some of your officers, they are also involved in a pilferage, in those leakages, which, Commissioner General, you are pretty sure. And people are complaining day in, day out. Even those people who are seeing what is happening right now are not happy. That a number of businessmen, especially those who are in mining sector, they evade tax, and they connive with some of your officers, especially some of the big guys. Okay, under ZRA. Sorry for Chair. Sorry, you can forgive me. Let me not use the word guys. It's unparliamentary.
Yeah.
Let me withdraw. But some of the big people, okay, under ZRA, they are busy conniving wherever a big businessman, especially those who are in mining business, where somebody is owing government maybe about 10 million kwacha, they go and connive behind the scene. That no, just give me 1 million, okay, then we do away with the 9 million, maybe you just pay about 200,000. Those issues are happening and people have been coming there to complain, and those complaints I'm sure are so many, okay, on your tables. What are you doing to make sure that we have the right human resource under ZRA? Will be very sincere to the people of Zambia, because money is there, but it's like money is not being collected properly, and the money is being shared behind the scene, especially by the ZRA officials, including yourselves, I believe. What is it that we, the people of Zambia...
Maybe we are going... Okay.
Yeah, let me finish here.
Okay.
Okay. You know, this is public fund. And you know, we have been talking about the same thing time after and again. And these things have continued. And a lot of people, we believe, are under investigations as we are speaking right now. What is it that you are doing, Commissioner General, to make sure that the money collected under ZRA reaches the Ministry of Finance headquarters so that it is properly appropriated and be given to the owners who are the Zambian people? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let's take 3. Honorable Simunji. Then I will not take the other one, will come after this.
Thank you, Chair. I will refer the right to page 22 of the Green Paper on the performance of the budget for 2020, for the first half of 2023. Under 86, you will see that the revenues collected is about 43.9, and against a target of 47 billion kwacha. So they are underperformed by 6.4%. If you roll back in previous years, you'll find that they have always overperformed against the target. Now, my question, which is there, is what could have led to this? Is it a system failure for them to collect more than the target, or is it a management failure? So that we want to know, because like this, the country will not be able to move forward, because the country needs the money, which is the blood of the economy. So I want to know, to hear from our colleagues from the NRA, whether it's a system failure or management failure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Acting Commissioner General, you can respond to those 3 questions.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members, for those questions. In terms of domestic revenue performance, I think the first question related to the production in the mining sector. The production levels.
Or you can speak also towards your mic.
Thank you.
A bit louder.
Yeah, the production levels that were lower than anticipated, and what needs to be done. We have reasons for that. I'll ask our Commissioner Direct Access to give the details in respect of that.
Sure, Mr. Nonde.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for the question, and through the Chair, thank you for allowing me to just explain a few things. So yes, this year we've had reduced production from the mining companies, and that has naturally affected the revenues that we've collected in the first half of this year. Now, the reasons that we've picked so far as a tax authority on the reasons why the mining companies have had a reduction in production are twofold. The first one is that the major mining company that has been producing more in the past has had challenges this year, okay, which started, of course, from the previous year, which is last year. So they've got low quality grade, and because of that, no matter how much they mine, the output of production is lower than what is expected. So because of that, it has affected the output that they have, and ultimately the taxes that we get in terms of mineral royalty on basis of the sales, and eventually the profitability. So they are mining more ore, but out of that they are getting very little mineral, and because of that the cost of mining is increasing and their productivity has gone down. So that's what has happened. So the grade itself has affected the production. The second one is that because of natural causes, because of the excessive rainfall that we had last season in the northwestern part of the country, the mine work area for one of the major mining companies was flooded. So they commenced production later than they had expected. Under normal circumstances, probably they would have started in March to produce, but by that time, the report that they gave us was that the mine was flooded, so they didn't commence production. So they are starting production way later in the year, and from what we understand, it should have been after April, which should be May or June or something like that. So the production numbers that we had initially forecast to get in the first half of the year have not come, honorable members, and because of that, we've had this challenge in terms of the revenues. Now, maybe I explain in terms of what is it that needs to be done. On the bigger mining enterprises, I think this committee and this August House has done a great job by ensuring that there is stability in the policy. So it's the stability in the policy in the mining sector that has given room for mining companies to start investing. So as was indicated earlier, one of the major mining companies is now investing, and out of that investment, that's what is going to speak to ensuring the production levels start increasing in the coming years. So that's what we are seeing is a key thing. But besides that, obviously, as we have indicated, Honorable Chair, we need to see the regulator to come on board. Of course, the tax authority, we are there as enforcers, but taxes come after the actual economic activity. So that principle still applies in mining. It's difficult for ZRA to be the ones in the forefront to see the production and then ensure that the taxes are paid. We would rather see the regulator regulating what is taking place, and then once the actual activities are done, we move in to collect. And that's what we feel. We really feel that we need to see the regulator in the mining sector coming on board so that those activities can be monitored. On the artisanal and smaller ones, we agree that there are a lot of activities taking place. From our side, as Zambia Revenue Authority, what we've done is that we've paid particular attention to this, and we've got this artisanal and small mining unit established specifically to start looking at taxing these smaller mining companies, and we feel that that's what is going to help us focus on that area. But our wish is again to see the taxation of the aggregators, like is being considered in the gold mining, where you have gold market centers, to allow for all those that are mining at a smaller level to sell their minerals within the country. We feel that way it will give us a much more easy handle to tax the activities that are happening in the artisanal mining sector. So that's what, Chair, I can say as some of the things that would want to be done, and why the production levels have gone down despite the incentives and the stability that has been provided. I submit, Chair, through the Commissioner General.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think through Chair. Thank you. Me now attend to the next one, which I think from Honorable Michelo regarding leakage of money. We acknowledge weaknesses in some cases, and we have taken action. I think you have heard us conducting investigations, especially on the copper belt, and we have a number of cases that are still going. Some have been taken to court, and people have been convicted, so we are taking this seriously. Of course, we need to have, like you have rightly put it, the right people. So we need to check, even we are checking within ourselves, we have appropriate internal systems and controls to check, to audit, to monitor behavior of our staff. So we are taking action even as we get results of these investigations. So we're strengthening that aspect of observed weakness. And above that, we have working on the system side so that to improve controls and efficiency of the tax system. So very soon we'll be implementing a system, what we call electronic invoicing system, that will help seal some of these loopholes that we have. There have been a number of issues, of course, related to VAT in this respect, looking at the area that you have indicated, the mining side and other companies. So this system will help us to strengthen the controls regarding the leakages. Probably, our Director Sabi, do you have anything to amplify on this new project that will help us improve controls and revenue?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, CJ. The system that will be introduced will allow us to have access to primary information that may feed into the declarations directly, so that we don't rely on the taxpayers themselves to tell us what they would have done. So this system will allow us to see the transactions as they do them, and not depend on them to declare, because of there's so much untruthfulness in the reporting and the cheating that has been talked about. So we are very hopeful that this system will help us to have the correct figures in terms of reporting or declarations, thereby having a positive impact on the revenue that will be collected. So we hope that this will be implemented in part largely on VAT, but I think later on, even for turnover tax, we will be able to use the system. Thank you.
Okay, now that question is real key, one of our members and colleagues from ZRI, because out of the government in this period is projecting to spend about 552 billion. And of that amount, about 75 billion will be through the borrowing, that which the government will do. And part of it maybe is maybe about 20%, 18% will be from the non-tax revenue. So meaning the biggest chunk of the revenue basket which the government is looking to basically will go through your hands in terms of collections. And to hear that, I know Honorable Mijelo has in fact alluded more like on the mines, but also you have the trade side. In your report, in fact, you have indicated where you want to enhance in terms of infrastructure development at places like Mokambo border and the like, so that then we relieve the the amount of congestion that which is now at Kasumbalesa. But even through this kind of trade, the imports and also maybe part of the exports that which is going out, the issue of leakages is still so very, very pronounced. And this gives these honorable members the fear that are we going to meet these targets. But what I wanted to find, and be honest with us, because we want to ensure that these things are closed or stopped. To what extent do you have political pressure
also. Was, you know, Honorable Mijelo has indicated collusion cannot only be done by, you know what I mean? Maybe it involves, it cannot be done by one party. It has to be. So to what extent do you have maybe political pressure in some of these issues when you talk about issues of like revenue leakages and the like? These members are worried about the subject which they're talking about, because we are aware that the first quarter, second quarter of this year, 2023, almost for the first time, in terms of your targets, have not been that pleasing. You have always consistently met your targets exceeded. So when we hear that, then that brings a bit of worry. So maybe as you respond to the other question, maybe we need also just to touch base on that one, Commissioner General.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I'll look at, before I come to the last one, you have mentioned the issues to do with the leakages. I think it's an extension of this, not only on the domestic taxes, but you have mentioned also to related to the trade side. So yes, we have those leakages here and there, and we are doing a lot to ensure that we attend to them. With respect to smuggling, we are in the process of acquiring a system called electronic cargo transit monitoring system, because of the diversion. Smuggling is coming mostly through people pretending that they are going to DRC or to another third country, but they float goods on the market, Zambian market. So that system will enable us to monitor on real time the movements of the consignments according to, that are transiting through our country, and any attempts to offload or to conduct any activity that is contrary to the law will be attended to in a timely manner. So that's one area that we are going to, that's approach or strategy that we are going to adopt in that. And we have all other systems that we are enhancing internally. We're also working with our neighboring countries in terms of interfacing the systems, so that we improve our information, our data integrity, as we interface the system, because fraud also comes in manipulation of documents. So when we interface with our neighboring countries, it will minimize that aspect of forging documents and misrepresenting the original commercial document descriptions of values. So that's what we're dealing with. Of course, we're also building capacity in our staff in terms of doing the right thing, having the right capacity. And we're also working to interface with a number of government agencies, ministries, so that we also improve, reduce movement of paperwork, because that's also a conduit of misrepresentation, so that we ensure that any permits, any approvals, any exemptions are duly authorized, and the people enjoy what they have applied for in a good way. So we have these interfaces that are going on with the government ministries, other border agencies, to ensure we tighten all these sources of leakages. So that's what we are doing in terms of trade. Of course, we're also improving our enforcement in terms of penalty applications, so that those that are found also are brought to book. So those are among a few of the interventions that we are undertaking to ensure that we minimize. We have also we are reorganizing ourselves in terms of enforcement, So different parts of the countries and regions, we are putting patrol teams in the north, east, south, and the Copper Belt. So those teams will be moving, patrolling around the clock to ensure that they enforce or monitor movements of consignments that are involved in smuggling. So those are some of the things. With respect to political pressure, yeah, we have political pressure, but in the right way, in terms of political will. Okay, through giving us that expectation to support government in the right way, and the political will so far is that, like I indicated, we have support. We have a number of projects that are ongoing, and when we request resources, we are being provided for. I don't know whether I'll put in the right context when you say pressure, not pressure to do things that are contrary to the law, but to just kind of encourage us and put before us the expectations in the 8th National Development, what people are expecting from us, that we should do, go beyond, put an extra mile to ensure that we do better, because we are comparing ourselves to other countries that, for example, are collecting GDP ratios of close to 23, 24. We are about 18, 19 somewhere. So that's the thing that we are being encouraged to aspire to go beyond our current performance. So that's what I would say in that respect. Otherwise, we're enjoying that support to do better in terms of government. If I don't know whether I should go to the last
Yeah, please
one.
go to the last
Maybe
question.
before. Okay, so there was the reported underperformance. Performance by 6 billion. I think this one, like it has been explained by Commissioner Nonde, is mainly attributed to CIT, the corporate income tax, related to the mines, and mineral royalty tax. So because of those events beyond our control, it has affected overall level of performance in terms of revenue, but we are working to improve efficiencies around to mitigate this the downside to our revenue collections. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable members, we have one from Honorable Chonde, Honorable Woja, and Honorable Mulunda in that order. Then we'll go to the last round. So, Honorable members, one question. I've noted your Honorable Kamboni's hand also. One question. When you your mic. Your mic, Commissioner General. You can switch it off. Thank you.
ZRA, the biggest challenge we have in this country is revenue mobilization, and obviously the bulk of that work rests on your shoulders. And in our expectation, we expect to collect more from the mines, where other countries are thriving out of what the natural resource which they have. Yet here back home, we struggle, and you are the last man at the gate. When we were in our interaction through them with the mines, we have discovered that there's a revelation that most of the exports that we have, particularly in copper, are not purely purified. And you rely on foreign refineries for those that are being transported outside to give you data. Be it gold, be it copper is not purified at 99%, it goes at 94%. Whatever containment in there, you have to rely on refineries that are outside the jurisdiction where you have limited control. How are you affected by this revenue? To what extent do we lose revenue via these levels of transactions that take place in the mines? With
Thank you.
I submit, Chair.
Thank
with an
you.
exception, because being the host committee, maybe I can just a quick one on
Okay.
on yeah. I'll bring you to your document. The second question, I'll bring you to to your document on good governance and environmental objectives. I think it's on page. I don't know which page is this one, but you've given a comment on government on PPP. You have given comfort to government on PPP. PPP has got so many challenges here in Zambia in our case, and yet you have not really truly advised government. The major challenges, especially in the road infrastructure, is non-financial viability in most of these roads. What motivated you to give us comfort that government can find comfort in the PPP, particularly in the road infrastructure, considering that we have challenges of financial viability as an alternative financing? Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Roger.
Thank you. Acting Commissioner General, my concern is on the revenue mobilization, and most of our revenue are coming from the mining sector, to which most of the economic commentators have said if some of the challenges, particularly in some of our major mines such as KCM, are sorted out, ZRA is likely to collect more revenue in the coming year. But my concern has been that from the information emanating from the ground, it has indicated that one of our major mining company in the name of KCM is currently underperforming, to which one of its branches, the Konkola Deep Mine, has almost a lifespan of 1.5 years before it closes. And Nchanga open pit mine, as we are talking now, it needs capital investment of about 2 billion kwacha, and it will take them about 7 years before they can start recording profit. Then, how possible or how helpful are the projections you are making that we are going to meet our targets in terms of revenue collection, considering these challenges these major mining companies who are contributors to the revenue coffers are currently confronting? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mlonda.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Yes.
Acting Commissioner General, arising from your comments, from your responses on the monitoring system that you are putting in place, for instance, for the goods in transit. You have also alluded to the fact that you are increasing patrols in northern, southern, and everywhere in the country. I want to find out from you what systems you have put, other than just human beings or officers monitoring. Do you have a system that you are putting in place? Because what we hear and what we know, that is some of your officers are highly compromised, these people that are monitoring. They're actually the ones that are telling smugglers which route to use. Do you have a system that will actually detect such things? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are we able to allow? Okay. Honorable Kombon, just a quick one.
Yeah, mine is a quick one, Commissioner. It's about the electric invoice system that you have talked about, and that would increase the revenue. What methods or what are your plans of bringing in the informal sector to make sure that we also collect the needed revenue by maybe introducing this same electric invoice system? Because otherwise they also get away with a lot of tax and yet they make huge money.
Okay.
Do you have any plan to include the informal sector at a large scale as well? Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner General, with your team, can you respond to those? Then we'll go to the last round. I've already noted the hands for that.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, with respect to the exports of minerals, if I got the Honorable correctly, that how do we know what is going out in the raw materials, what is contained, to what extent maybe copper, gold, or whatever is contained. What we have done and developing at the moment is a proper system to ensure that there is accountability in the mining sector. At the beginning, I think also in the presentation, you have indicated that we are looking for this organization in the mining sector to ensure that we have an institution that will ensure that this sector is well managed. I'll maybe ask our Commissioner, Domestic Taxes, to just amplify again that proposal. I think it's also in the green paper. That is, we are proposing the establishment of an appropriate institution to help us ensure that all these mushrooming mining activities are well managed. We have a system along this chain. When we have exports, we have people now we have put at the borders with appropriate gadgets that are able to, on the spot, help us check the mineral content at the border when it's exiting. So we're able to send back or held or impound consignments that are not reflective or showing variance between the certificate given by Ministry of Mines and what our testing results are indicating. Maybe before I leave this aspect, I'll ask Commissioner Nonde to amplify the measures that are being proposed to strengthen compliance in this sector.
Thank you. Through CG to the members and the chair of the committee. Yes, we've indicated, and as has been mentioned in the annual budget plan, we are advocating for the establishment, expedient and quick establishment of the regulator in the mining sector. The reason why we want to see that is that we feel that the regulator will have the capability to monitor the activities in the value chain for mining. Now, the mineral value chain starts from mining itself all the way up to the time of export, so that we understand what is being exported. The incapacity that we have as the tax authorities, obviously we collect taxes, we might have limited capacity in engineering to understand the actual content of those minerals. But we believe that that capacity is what will go in the mining regulator so that they can monitor this. As you recall, honorable members of the committee, we've had in the past what we used to call the mineral value chain monitoring process, where we had the laboratories that mineral laboratories for testing at Zambia Revenue Authority in Kitwe. We also have one to Ministry of Mines and the Bureau of Standards. Those were all meant to allow for quick and continuous verification of the contents of the minerals, so that we can pick the samples regularly without notice to the mining entities. You test and verify what is being done. So that process is a mining regulation activity, and we feel that once that is taken up, then there will be control in the monitoring of the value chain. The same will apply to all the other minerals that are being mined, gold and all the other critical minerals that we have as natural resources in this country. So it's from that background that we really are advocating for the establishment of this regulator, because at the front line of mineral extraction and resource mobilization, Zambia Revenue Authority is just one of the entities. If you look at what other countries have done, if you go to Ghana, they have the regulator, they are regulating even the artisanal mining. If you go in Tanzania, our colleagues are doing the same. The TRA is just one of the entities that is working with the regulator, who regulates the activities on a regular basis, and sometimes they even send people to stand at the mine gates to check what is happening and what is coming out. And that is what we feel this country needs, and quickly so that we can then get that information that the regulator will give us to then interpret it to see what taxes need to be paid. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. The other aspect, I think, it was referring to PPP. The comfort that we get here, I think, is the speed at which we'll have projects being implemented. You can see even the rate at which are moving the roads to Kasumbalesa. We have seen even what has been done on Sakanya border side of DRC. There's a modern border on the other side. So basically it's a speed at which we can have a number of projects and a number of infrastructure demands, requirements undertaken. I think that's a comfort that we have at the rate at which we can build capacity. With respect to revenue mobilization, mining being showing dismal performance, we are hopeful that things will turn around. Going forward, once I think issues related to the case here, Mupane, are resolved, we are hopeful that we'll see more revenue coming from this sector. And after what has been presented by our Commissioner, that once we have proper regulation in this industry, we can see potential and opportunities for us to collect more revenues. Goods in transit, of course, I mentioned the system that we put in place regarding the monitoring of transits. Apart from that, this is, of course, it's a kind of consortium of controls and systems that we are working to combat this vice. The interfaces with other countries that we're working on, because we are interfacing with almost all our neighboring countries. This will help us combat smuggling by ensuring that proper data is inputted into our system without manipulation when you're dealing with manual. So we know the destination more accurately. And also the systems that we have for timely, what we call them acquittals, the transaction reach the other side. We're improving IT infrastructure and communication so that immediate reaches going to DRC, Tanzania, we give a quick feedback into the system that this item has left. So whatever is outstanding, we focus our control, so there'll be timely intervention, among other things. So of course, there's a human element that we have to work on, and we have also programs internally to ensure that we work on the integrity of our staff and also appropriate disciplinary measures in place for those that are not working according to expectation. With respect to electronic invoices that was mentioned, and informal, also other interventions that we are working on to bring the informal sector into the tax bracket. This also involves us taking the opportunity of technology to interface with a number of government agencies, like Ministry of Finance and other government departments. So we have noticed that we have a lot of people in the informal sector that are supplying to government, but are non-compliant with ZRA. They are not on our books. So we are integrating with government systems to ensure that those that are supposed to be registered with us are identified. Those are supposed to pay taxes are triggered from that interface, and we ensure that we collect from them. And this, the INRIS, the new registration system, will help us to have this system more, or to support this kind of system to ensure that we bring a lot of taxpayers into the tax bracket through identifying various points of interventions with the government ministries, with other stakeholders, so that we can improve our spread in terms of coverage of the informal sector. With respect to any in-risk opportunities and informal sector activities that we are putting in place to cover more taxpayers, I'll ask the Director Savi, probably supported also by Director Piri. You can come on interventions that we are doing to answer to this issue of widening our tax base.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Commissioner General. To answer the question specifically, I think there was a concern on the system that we're going to introduce and whether it can be extended to the smaller ones so that we can mobilize the domestic revenue that is needed. Indeed, the system, once it is implemented, it will be implemented in stages, and it is hoped that even the smaller business will be able to use it at a later time once we pass the pilot stage. The beauty with the system is that it will not require anybody to buy any expensive equipment because it's a software, so it will be easier to be implemented by the smaller business. And like Acting Commissioner General has said, faced with the to be one critical institution that we have to work with regards to the small and foremost, because has hands-on on these people. We're talking about the people that sell in the streets, the people that are selling on the markets, or whatever business that they are doing. They have an interaction with the local government. So we really need to work closely with them, and those relationships have already started. With regards to the Ministry of Finance and what Acting Commissioner General has talked about, we are already on course in terms of sharing information. Right now, we have discovered quite a number of taxpayers that are trading without really having registered for taxes. So we have a checkpoint where now they are being brought to us as ZRA, and we're doing further analysis and determining whether we need to register them for turnover tax or income tax or indeed VAT, depending on what they're doing and the levels of income that they have. Even before they are being paid, currently, you may have heard that before they are being paid, their payments are being subjected to validation to really determine whether they could be registered, but they may evade paying the tax itself, which is due. So before they are paid, ZRA has to validate whether they are not owing anything, and if they are owing, then that specific amount has to be deducted before they can make the payment. Other initiatives that are being used is something that also could have been heard about. The scheme of withholding VAT, which is for those that are registered for VAT, that before they are paid the full amount on the payment for the supplies they would have made, the person that is paying, agent would have to would remit to Zambia Revenue Authority. Initiatives to make it easier to pay is that we use quite a lot of initiatives where somebody can file returns on phone, and they can also make the payment using the phone, so they don't really need to walk to the Zambia Revenue Authority to fulfill those obligations that are expected by them. I think for now I submit.
Thank you. Honourable members, let me have your consensus. We are way out of time. The other witness has been waiting for now 1 hour from 11:30, and I still see a lot of hands. No, that's not the one I'm asking for. For now, honourable members, let's have the consensus. Should we end here or we continue?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, honorable members, Commissioner General and your team. Honorable members, you are the majority. I take them what the majority says. So, order, honorable members. Commissioner General, honorable order. Commissioner General and your team, thank you very much for appearing before this. You see the amount of questions that the members would love you to clarify or ask questions. This just shows the type of importance that which we put on your institution to meet some of these aspirations under what we are looking at. So a lot of pertinent issues which were raised by the members, take them seriously so that maybe we see how best we can improve our collections so that we meet the aspirations of this document. Having said that, in terms of the provisions of the laws of Zambia, the immunity that which was conferred on you earlier on, also NDA, do have a good day. Thank you very much.
In news that has shocked many Zambians across the world, the king of Zambian music, Maketu, has retired. Will the Zambian music industry ever be the same again?
You know, when I said I was retired, my fans and my friends had a lot to say about my future. Some said I was done. Imagine my own family thought I'd be jobless and just chilling with them. Am I even done with my music? Maybe I am, or maybe not.